Welcome back, family and friends, and everybody else who wants to tag along to Shenanigans on the Great Loop. For the first time on this trip, I am not reporting from the helm of Shenanigans, but today is a big day because I am reporting to you from New York Harbor. Huge milestone day today. 25% done with the trip. I have 1,500 miles behind me. I have a lot in front of me. Probably 75% of the trip is in front of me, but I'm going to take a moment and just savor this as a big milestone on the trip. I have to admit, kind of proud coming through New York Harbor on my own boat and just looking back on what I've been through on the Atlantic coast. It's been amazing, and but I have a long way to go. But have some catching up to do. I think today's August 3rd. That's another feature of this trip, of not knowing the date and the day. It's my vitamin pill box that reminds me what day it is. It's kind of a good thing, but we have a lot of catching up to do. I'm going to try to do this all in one take. So again, all the bumps and bruises, let's just go with it. I'm going to stand off to the side so you guys can enjoy the view, but doing some catching up. The last time we spoke was like early July from Chesapeake, Virginia, which is just south of Norfolk. That's 500 miles ago, and when I stopped into Chesapeake, Virginia, I stopped at a yard there to get an oil change, which I anticipated was going to take 2 days. True to boating, it took 5. That was a week. And then from there, I was cognizant of the calendar. I do have one date that I'm a little bit under the pressure by, and that is the Chicago lock closes for the winter season November 15th. So basically I have 3.5 months to go another 1,500 miles from here to Chicago. If I don't get there by that date, they close the lock, and either I have to put the boat up on the hard for the winter or put it on a truck to get around the lock. So that's the only pressure I have on this trip. It's unfortunate that I have any, but I started the trip officially in April, but just 1 week into the trip, I pulled the boat out of the water and put it on the hard for a month for a bunch of maintenance. That basically set me back by 4 weeks right there, which kind of changed the vibe of the trip for me. So I've been trying to do some catch up then, and I have done a lot of catch up. I've done 1,500 miles in just over 2 months, so I should be able to do 1,500 miles in a little over 3 months. The only wild card there is the unforeseen maintenance items. So anyway, we'll just keep on trucking. But so back in Norfolk, Virginia, that's a big Navy town. That was really cool going through there. Before I even started counting Navy ships, I noticed there's a bunch of them, so I started counting them. I counted 20 just going through the harbor. Then I went up to Hampton. Hampton, Virginia was not really a destination spot for me. It was just an overnight spot. That one night there turned into 2 because I was at the bottom of the Chesapeake Bay, and in my little boat, I need conditions to be safe on the water. Chesapeake Bay is big water, so I held up there for an extra day, let the waters calm down. Made my way up from Hampton, Virginia, up to Deltaville just for an overnight. From there, I went up to Solomon's Island, which is a huge holiday destination, weekend destination for locals. But I opted not to spend time there and headed up to Annapolis. And calendar time, pressure or not, I stayed in Annapolis for 3 nights. 1 night at a marina, 2 nights on a mooring ball, just maybe 100 yards off from the U.S. Naval Academy at Annapolis. That was phenomenal. They have just an amazing museum that I could do a whole separate video on. I was so impressed with that place and the young people that make their way into that program. Truly inspiring. From Annapolis, I had good weather, headed up the Chesapeake Bay, stopped in one little marina at Wharton Creek for an overnight, continued up to what they call locally the C&D Canal, which is Chesapeake and Delaware Canal. Made my way across that over to Delaware City. That put me through Maryland and into Delaware. Again, I got held up by weather in Delaware City, and I think I was there for 3 nights, waiting for good weather to go down the Delaware Bay, which is a whole nother bag of nuts, I learned. And it has some physical features to it where you want to be careful, with wind and waves. So I got held up there by some major weather, including threat of tornadoes, and then thunder and lightning is just par for the course. So held up there for 3 days. I got there on a Monday, wanting to only go the next 50 miles in 5 days. And I gave myself that big window because my next stop was Cape May, New Jersey. And my daughters, Michaela and Maddie, we agreed they were gonna come down by bus and meet me at Cape May for a couple days. So that all worked out. The weather passed. I had a brilliant day going down the Delaware Bay. So brilliant, in fact, that I slowed the boat down just to savor the moment. I was surrounded by dolphins at one point. I fought them off bravely and made my way down to Cape May. Got down there. Girls arrived the next afternoon, and we just had an amazing day in Cape May. Lots of sights. If you ever get out to that part of the country, stop in Cape May. Girls went home. Then the next morning, I was hoping to get out on the ocean and make my way north towards Atlantic City, but sure enough, more weather came in, and I don't want to call it stuck because it is nice to be anywhere, but I was held up in Cape May by a pretty vigorous thunderstorm that held me back actually just a couple hours. The seas calmed down. I talked to some local professionals and had the confidence that it was safe to go out there. So this actually represented my one big ocean exposure on the trip, and that is from Cape May up to New York Harbor, where we're looking at now. Obviously I made it. And so I got up to Atlantic City that day. That was easy enough. Got into Atlantic City, everything was good. I had been spending a lot of money, so I decided to drop the hook and sleep for free. So I did that out behind Harrah's, and that was nice. I'm not really one for the casinos and that whole scene, so I didn't mind just kind of hanging out by myself out there. The second night, I'm waiting for a bigger weather picture to subside. So I turned on the evening news. The 6 o'clock newsman came on, weather guy, and started warning of thunder, lightning, high winds, floods, which doesn't really apply to me on a boat, and tornadoes. That does apply to me. So I'm thinking on the hook is not a great place. I pulled up the hook, called the nearest marina, which is Farley State Marina, managed by the Golden Nugget Casino in Atlantic City. They said, come on in. Got in there, tied up. The weather basically went around me, so that was not necessary, but I did sleep soundly. That weather system lurked for a couple of days with lots of thunder and lightning, and so I was happy to be there. Plus, it's just nice to be tied up. Then the weather cleared, but the ocean was still feeling the leftovers from that system, so I waited one additional day, and then I think it was a Friday, Friday, July 31st, everything calmed down a lot, and the seas were appropriate for me and my boat. So the seas were 2 to 3 feet, winds were under 10 knots, and probably 6 or 7 seconds in wave frequency. So it's not only the wave height, but the wave frequency that can get you. So wave height and frequency were conducive to a safe trip. I left Atlantic City, headed up the coast. I had 75 miles of pure ocean exposure, but it was brilliant. I had 3 bailout locations, which were Little Egg Inlet, Barnegat Inlet, and Manasquan inlets. And I wasn't really excited about using those inlets because they can be their own, factors too, but at least I had them. But I didn't need them. I got all the way up to Sandy Hook, made the corner, came into New York's Lower Bay, and then I just had a moment. It was just so amazing. It still took me a couple hours to get into Jersey City and to where we're standing right now, but it was probably a 2-hour arrival for me to get from there to here. And I savored every moment of it. I came under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, huge bridge down there, and that's down at the Lower Bay. I couldn't help but think of my mom emigrating from Ireland, and I think it was 1950 or 51. She came over as a 19-year-old, and that was a moment for me thinking she came over these same exact waters, and here I was too, all these years later. Just traveling her footsteps, so to speak. Then, of course, the Statue of Liberty came into sight. That was a very, patriotic moment. I came in there, I could see Governor's Island, I could see Ellis Island, I could see the Brooklyn Bridge, I could see downtown Manhattan, which is right there. One World Trade Center, of course. The 25th anniversary of 9/11 is coming up, so that's very thought-provoking. It's touching me too, because back in 1988, as a 25-year-old, I spent a month in one of the World Trade Center buildings, number 2, when I was doing stockbroker training for one of my first jobs out of college. So it's just amazing being here. It's just a real milestone moment for me on this trip. Yeah, then maybe the icing on all that cake. Not that I needed more icing, but the girls, my daughters, they live right on the other side of Manhattan in the East Village. They've been over there for a few years, working, living, and enjoying life over there. They came over the day before yesterday on a Saturday, and they brought, by invitation, 4 of their girlfriends with them. So we had an amazing Saturday on the boat, just celebrating everything that you can see from here. The harbor was super busy with every kind of watercraft you can imagine. There was jet skis, little sailboats, trainers, big sailboats, trawlers like this one, boats like mine, commercial traffic like that guy out there, ferries, the iconic Staten Island ferry, and it looks like they have a take no prisoners approach to the whole thing. It looks chaotic, but there's actually a rhyme to the whole thing. There's rules of the road, and I didn't see anybody doing anything egregious. I'm sure they do, but I didn't see it. It worked. If you come in having done your homework, you can everybody can operate and cooperate around one another. So the girls came out, they had their girls, so there were 7 of us on the boat. Fantastic guests. We cruised up we went down to the Statue of Liberty, which is just maybe right over there by a mile or so. Then we cruised up the East River, which is on the other side of downtown, went up the East River, up to and under the Brooklyn Bridge, went up to the next bridge up, can't remember its name, just did a lot of sightseeing, came back down around downtown. We went up to about One World Trade Center, and then we went back in here, this is called Morris Canal, and then back to our boat in our harbor. This harbor over here is called Liberty Landing. I'm staying just across the water from it behind these buildings, which is called Hudson Point Marina. So that's where I am now. I was there for 2 nights, 3 nights. I think tonight's gonna be my 4th night. And tomorrow, I was gonna leave today, but again, the weather, and if you're wondering why I'm wearing a rain jacket in New Jersey in August, is because it was pouring this morning, and it's still some dark clouds out there. The meteorologist this morning was saying so much moisture is coming through, all in a line. He called it the rain train. So if it's not the rain train, the humidity out here is what you've heard, and they call that air you can wear. So that's the latest. I have notes. I didn't even look at the notes during this. I just went for it. So except for a couple stumbles, there you have it. I'm sure I'll turn this off and remember everything else I wanted to say, but that's the latest from Shenanigans on the Great Loop. And I've been letting my mustache grow. I think after this, I'm gonna go back and trim the ends off it before I knock somebody off their scooter. So there you have it, Shenanigans on the Great Loop. Until next time, thank you very much for being there. I love sharing this with you guys. Later.